Hello, this is Train for Print. My name is Marcus Cruz and welcome to the 6th episode of my treasure chest tutorial series where we in Blender learn to 3D model for 3D printing. This is the chest we have after episode 5 and it's turning out quite alright. We could absolutely stop here, but we're going to take it a few steps further to learn some extra techniques. And the first thing we're going to do is go into sculpting. Sculpting is quite a large topic, but we're going to cover the basics. I think that we want to sculpt the wooden planks and make some stylized wood grain in them. So let's start with that. And first we're going to separate the wood from the metal reinforcements. So we're just going to duplicate the object. Select the object in object mode. Shift D to duplicate. Oh, sorry, let me turn on screencast keys. Right, now we have chest.001, so let's rename that to chest wood. I Shift H to hide everything else. I can see that everything else is hidden, and let's go into edit mode. And as always, there are many ways to do it, but I will do the circle select. So select everything that is wood. Something like that. But this is not the only wood we have here. So I press C and then I just paint over all the faces that I want to select, and I right click to confirm. And I rotate the object around to see everything. Right, that's all the wood. So to delete everything else, I'm just going to press Ctrl I to invert the selection and X delete faces. Yeah, that looks good. But to sculpt, it must be a solid object. So I'm going to connect everything here. Something like that. F, Ctrl T. We can actually... The wood part and the metal part will overlap. So it's good that it goes a little bit further into the metal like that. If I Alt H to unhide everything, I can see that the wood planks are going into the metal reinforcement here. So let's do it the same way on the other side. With the wood, chest wood selected, I press Shift H to hide everything else, and I continue to make this a solid object. To select the entire loop around the hole, I hold Alt and left click. let's make all the planks go much further up and scale them along the Z to 0 so they're on the same plane. And this can go a little bit. That wasn't very obvious. I select this and this, view it from the side, and G, Y, move it along the Y-axis so that it's well into the metal reinforcement. Oh, and also let's move everything down some. So in wireframe mode, select the bottom edges, GZ, something like that. And we might as well start to connect everything here. Everything doesn't have to be the same polygon, or everything doesn't have to be the same mesh island. They can be two different. And let's. So there's something going on here that I don't like. Yeah. Probably duplicate vertices on the same place. So I select everything and I press M to merge by distance. And we see removed 2 vertices. So 2 duplicates were removed. Now when I alt click this edge, everything around the hole is selected. And let's select this here and the bottom. Let's not forget to make this go down some because it must. We don't want anything on the edge of the. We can actually make it into one, or no. I just do GZ. Now we have a perfectly good version of every wood part of this chest. And if we do solid, yeah, no more holes. And if we unhide the we can actually just to see that everything is working, we remove all the wood parts here. I'm going to speed this up. You've already seen it and know how it works. Now I have the wood part selected, so I simply press X, delete faces again. And we have the, oh, missed one. Just delete this vertex here. Yeah, looking good. So now if I go and unhide the wood, we should see that it looks like before, but it's now 2 separate objects. We won't care for now that this metal reinforcement is not manifold. There are lots and lots of holes in it. So ignore that for now and let's focus on the wood. So Shift H to hide everything else. And we want to go into sculpt mode. We could do that here, but it's more convenient, I think, to just press this. If I have an object selected and I press this tab, I'm automatically moved to sculpt mode. So that's our third mode. We have object mode and edit mode since before. Now we also have sculpt mode. And we see that the graphics changed a little bit. There's a different viewport here. We can actually, we want to have matte cap. Yep. I think cavity is also nice. So now we can start to draw on these faces, but nothing is happening. Because we don't have any geometry or we don't have enough geometry to affect. There are several ways to do it. We can do a remesh, and that will, I think, start like this. No. The space with the chest is filled with tiny cubes, 0.2 Blender units, so millimeters in size. And for each cube, it checks if it's filled or not, and then it constructs a new mesh. And so this polygon here is not actually a polygon, it's a lot of them. If we tab into edit mode, we can go from sculpt to edit mode with tab as before. Tab back, we're still in sculpt mode. Well, we can see here that there are lots of these vertices and polygons, faces, along even smooth faces. That's what remesh does. And we can decide if this is this good enough? No. I would say let's undo the remesh and let's actually go to 0.1 remesh. And now if we go into edit mode, we can see there are twice as many, or is it? The distance is halved, but I think it's more like twice by twice by twice, 8 times as many. We can actually turn on, in this menu here, we can turn on statistics and see that we now have 257,000 triangles. That's not very much, but we can actually sculpt some with this. So to make it very, very simple in this beginning, we can do this draw sharp, and we can with it draw a sort of line in the wood. Maybe even 0.1 isn't good enough. Okay, so let's 0.7, I think, and remesh. And yeah, we see there are lots of polygons here around my brush strokes. I think it's going to work quite fine. So let's start to sculpt some veins in the wood. I do this with my mouse. I do it with the draw sharp, and we can see here that it's visible alright, but it doesn't go very far in. So let's undo that, and I can increase strength to 0.8 or something. Is that... I think we can even go to 1. We can of course do the brush stroke several times, but yeah. That's also so when we sculpt, the size of the brush depends on how far away from the object we are. So now I'm quite far, and there's a big line. If I zoom in here, I get a small line. See, there's difference. So I need to be roughly the same distance from the mesh the whole time I sculpt. Undo that. To get sort of flowing straight lines, it can often be good to stabilize stroke. See here, I get a little line, so I drag, and even if I move my mouse a little bit, it won't be a real wavy line. So let's undo that, and if I see, now it follows the mouse exactly. But if I turn on stabilize stroke, see, we see a little waviness, but I'm moving my mouse very much up and down. So that's really helpful if we want smooth wavy lines. To change, I probably want to see the whole plank I want to do. I can do it in steps, but probably good if I can see. It's easier if I can see the whole plank on the same screen. Something like that. It's a little bit big, so then we can press F and drag. I just pressed F and drag, and I can change the size of the brush. So I want it a little bit smaller, like that, and I left click to confirm. I'll make it a little bit wavy. Oops, had to let the mouse go. And now comes the interesting part. Can I follow this to get the sort of wood grain waving? So the battery ran out. I had to change, but now I'm back. And here we are, still sculpting away some wood veins. It then doesn't matter very much what I do on this edge and this edge, because that will be covered by the reinforcements anyway. So I think for this one up here, I'm going to make something a little bit special, and I'm going to turn off stabilize stroke. So something like that I want to do. On with stabilize stroke again, and just follow that around. can go up there, come in from the edge, slow down and take it easy around this whatever it's called. So if I follow this down all the way into the crevice here, I will just stop. Now it's starting to take a little bit better shape here. And to get more screen real estate, I can press Control Space, and that will maximize that window. Press Control Space again and back to the original layout. So I don't need anything else for now. So just need all the screen real estate I can get. Right, so that's starting to look quite good. So we're only scratching the very surface of sculpting here. I'm going to speed up and just draw the rest of these lines. And there we have it. So I've tried to get a little natural waviness, and I think the chest looks quite sturdy, thick veins, so yeah. What we've seen here is just the very tip of the sculpting workflow. There are a lot of different brushes to be used and lots of settings to be used and change these brushes. For instance, I'm going to show you a sample of these brushes. We have the blob brush that makes little blobs, and maybe we can make little blobs in one of these branch holes. Let's find something here. Now it's poking out a little bit. Here too. It's a bit of a subtle effect. Can you see it? Yeah, it's going out a little bit. We have the smooth brush, which is like a combination of sandpaper and filler. So it smooths the surface. We have flatten, fill, scrape. We have the grab brush. If we want to move stuff around, like we want this plank to be a little bit follow the veins. I think that's too much. Maybe a little bit like that, yeah, so that's one way to use this. We have the snake hook. That's the tentacle brush. We can like that. It really should be used with the dyne topper set on, but yeah, and we actually have even more brushes here, so there are lots to experiment with. I think in the next version of Blenders we will use the vector displacement map. That's very useful for sculpting things like horns and stuff like that. Very easy. Right, this it was this for this episode. Next we're going to give the metal reinforcement a bit of texture with displacement. See you then, and thanks for watching. Bye.